our in-person episode for you guys here today. Our guest today, Lane. How you doing, man?
I'm doing wonderful.
Yeah.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, happy to have you on.
Fan of the program.
Appreciate it.
It touches our heart. That's awesome.
Yeah, back when it was...
Oh, so do you watch some of the episodes? Do you like...
Yeah, I keep up to date.
Awesome. That's so cool.
Cool. Keep up to date.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Yeah.
Sadiq, one of our previous guests, also said he watches the show.
Oh, yeah.
Glad we're providing some content for Suffolk. That's awesome.
Well, premium content, right?
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah.
That was like a good little boost. Yeah. It's always a good boost.
I like podcasts. I listen to a lot of like Joe Rogan. I listen to like Bart Kreischer, Tom Segura, obviously all of them. But like it's nice listening to a podcast where you're like, oh, you guys are talking about 73 Tremont. Like that's where I go to school. It's like
that's actually one of the things I enjoy is like for like the student body, I feel like it's wicked relatable that like these are faces you know around campus where you can actually
and we talk about shit that they can relate to, but it's not through Suffolk's like
since it's not through
program,
Suffolk,
so there's no censorship.
Yeah. You guys seen that video of the guy on the bowler who was crazy with the video? Like, who did you think I was? Me? He just retired, and he goes, "Love me or hate me, you watched me." It's like, love me or hate me, you see me in the halls in 73.
Exactly. That's a fact.
Well, not now. You see me in
You used to.
You see my name on Zoom.
You don't see my video though.
Exactly. I'm behind that camera somewhere.
Don't come to class. Watch Straight No Chaser.
Exactly.
You're right here.
So guys, so Lane, he's a junior with us here at Suffolk, and he's a law major, and so throughout kind of this has been a passion he's had for a while has been music and guitar and playing guitars, and this increased even more, I'd say. He said during quarantine, like he really got into collecting and building and repairing guitars.
Yeah.
So if you want to talk a little bit about kind of like what got you into music and playing guitar and kind of what got you into like collecting guitars and maybe some of your biggest inspiration as guitar players.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it definitely stemmed from like, I think all people's like it stems of like what your parents play in the house and like in the car of like what's in the radio, and like for me it was like obviously what was like the hits of the day. It's like we experienced all like 2004, some like the most craziest like rap, like Lil Wayne was like popping off, like you had that like on the radio, like glimpses that your cousin was showing you. So like I had that kind of going for me. My dad was showing me a lot of like Van Halen, a lot of Beatles, like Rolling Stone, like so I had that. I really kind of fell in with that where I'm like, oh, I really like this. So when everyone at school was kind of following the Lil Wayne and like, oh, this new song Lollipop just dropped like 2008, I was like, oh, I just found a song from like 1964 that's big. And so it was kind of like that where I was kind of always behind people. Watching like documentaries and like videos, you see their guitars and you see what's hanging around, like, you know, and as a young kid it looks like, oh, that's a guitar, that's a drum set. And like, even as a young kid I was like interested, like, oh, what model does he have? What does he like? What is like? What kind of like? What makes that guitar? Why did he pick that guitar? Because sometimes it's a decision that goes, I played 100 guitars, and this one just spoke to me, man. And sometimes it's, man, I found this in a garage sale. It was the only guy the guitar was selling, and you know, the only guitar the guy was selling.
It's kind of like
try it out.
Yeah.
Like it kind of makes sense though, because it's like diving into a subculture where it's like you almost go under the hood, where it's like you see all these like base level elements, and then you kind of research on it.
Yeah, and there's so much information. Like, I love that about subcultures, about everything.
Yeah.
Every like bottle caps has a subculture. There's a Reddit for it. Like,
that's hilarious.
Beer bottles, bottling beer, the way you make beer, and the way you mic. You know this and you
the glass, the beer bottle,
everything. The way you make this table, the way you glass blowers,
that's
glass
like a whole
blowers.
thing.
Yeah, people that make pipes. There's so many subcultures.
It's so crazy.
And that's like when you go into quarantine, everyone kind of just looks around and like March was the. Wait, this is 2 more weeks. That's crazy. Like, and then like May and June hit where everyone was like, I gotta find something to fill this fucking time.
Yeah, right.
You know, so I kind of found like, oh, I can start with the guitars and like just see what I have right now and start to make them better. So I get like a little electronic components and be like, that's not how you solder, and just like completely ruining parts because like, you know, you're heating them at a high temp, and then you just cook the solder on it, goes all the way down and like seeps into the part, and you're like, that was $5 gone, but you know, now I have an excuse to make another.
Well, the other thing is like it's a learning curve too.
Yeah.
Like there's like, I forget the exact way of wording it, but you know, you go from ignorance to knowledge in the end, where it's like there are costs associated with like learning along the way, but at the end, the ends justify the means.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just a good point.
Yeah, because we were just talking like about that studio, like you say like, oh, I have all the instruments now that I have a studio in my house, and it's like no, you have to get into mics, preamps. How you record? Are you gonna record on film, or are you gonna record on like analog? Are you gonna record digitally? There's so many subcultures to then get into. So there's always like it's like a never-ending like family tree, almost like you keep climbing the ladder, and there's another story.
Yeah,
but it's kind of how like art and music are, like in the sense that like there's not really any written rules. Like people kind of can use their mind to do whatever they want. Like, but at the same time, like there's like people kind of get those rules from what other people have done in the past. Yeah. So people have like their method of doing it, and then that will inspire other people to do it like that. And that can be true with like recording music, performing, like anything.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's cool. Like now that you have like. I'm fascinated about like the 60s and 70s because like when you learn to record music, like they were like you learned how to play guitar, then you're like I want to record this, I have a song, and it's like you didn't have the excuse to like get a mic the next day with next day shipping. They had to sit around and play that one song that they had, and they made it great. And that's what like the Beatles, like they were writing songs, and then if they wrote a song and forgot it, that means it wasn't good. If they wrote a song and they remembered it, even if they weren't playing it every day, that means it stuck out. It means it was good. Like they had that. Everything wasn't thrown at the wall.
Yeah, exactly.
They were throwing very selected art at the wall and then seeing what sticks, and not throwing the whole platter.
And it's hours and hours of work on the same song just to get it.
Yeah.
Like, just to be able to like. Play it through without really thinking about it.
Not on purpose because you don't have a mic.
Yeah.
Because
I think the other cool part too, like especially with older music, is like a lot of the studio technology that they had access to couldn't even be realized with like what consumers had access to, like boom boxes. But now you have surround sound setups that can like actually decipher different layers of the music. So it's like you can hear songs that were composed decades ago in ways that people only who saw them in like a live audience could experience. It's crazy.
Like the power of
it's actually
orchestra.
Crazy. Yeah.
I went to Best Buy. I blew my speakers on my computer. I had Logitech kind of ones, and they were really nice. I used them at the dorm a lot, and I just blew them. Like the wire went on them, so like I kind of time to splurge. I always listen to music through my speakers. Especially when I'm on, they're always on. They're always playing at a pretty loud volume, so I'm like, I can kind of put some money into it. And I was talking to the guys at Best Buy, and they're like, oh, we actually have a room in the back that has about $180,000 worth of like audio equipment. Like, we're gonna get the best sound. And there was these speakers, and they by the inch and centimeter. It's directioned at you. You're in the middle of the room.
Yeah.
And there's one in the back, and there's one.
So
it's crazy. Yeah,
hitting you at every angle, and they told me that they were gonna let me put on a song, but they didn't. They put on "Simple Man" by not Leonard Skinner. They put on a cover of like Stain,
really,
or something like that.
Stain.
Isn't it crazy to listen to it though?
Oh, you could picture where the drummer was, the singer was on the stage.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's really cool.
Because my girlfriend's stepdad actually like has invested into surround sound.
Yeah.
Like he's got these like audio like relationships where like he actually made friends at an audio store, and they all have like these crazy setups in their home. But the way they set it up is like they set up this mic and they move it around the room, and they're trying to pinpoint where all the sound should kind of like triangulate inside the room.
Come together.
Yeah, and it's like you have to be sat in the correct spot for all the channels to hit you correctly. And it's crazy. Like I've never heard music that sounded like you could hear so many different layers. You could hear the bass from one angle and then you could hear the drummer over here. It's like insane how much technology has just advanced.
That was like the 60s, man. They were in the 50s, you hear all those Elvis, that's like mono. That's everything you're hearing at the same.
Yeah.
In one ear, you can, you're hearing it's mixed. The bass, drums, vocals, guitar, keyboard, everything's in the same layer.
Yeah.
But in the 60s, the Beatles really got into stereo and panning. So they're like, we're going to have the bass and the drums come into the left ear, and then the guitar and the vocals. And that's going to create a weird mix, and you can kind of fade them intermixingly. And then they open the door insanely to bands like Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, panning, we're gonna go boo with the little knob and make the vocal go like that through both ear, like it's a ping pong effect, and having delays going in and out, and they take it to another level where if you apply it to a sound system like the one at Best Fire, like the one you're talking about, it's like, then it really shows the artistic value of what they were doing. It really shows because you can hear, it's almost like 8D audio where it's like a quad mix.
Yeah, it's nuts.
It's insane, man.
And actually, I don't know, you might know Grimes, Elon Musk's girlfriend.
Yes.
The way her music, it honestly sounds like she's her voice floats around the room, in her music.
Yeah.
It almost seems like it's set up for a surround sound audience. It's crazy.
I love that because I think music should be I think music should be good on good on one speaker too. If a song
agreed.
Yeah. But there should be songs
it's the complexity of setups. When you produce music to actually have that much complexity to it, it's you see how the art style takes a form. It's crazy.
Complicated and complex. If they're not the same thing. A song can be very it could be a 3-chord song.
That's true.
And you can still make it complex with the harmonies, and you can still make it complex with little intricate guitar parts, where it can still be this amazing art form. But you don't need to know all the chords of a jazz technique artist of being a perfectionist of being that's not right, and being but it's still intricate. It's simple, but it's intricate.
Absolutely.
It's like David Gilmour too. It's he doesn't play every note, but it's very simple, but it pierces through because of that.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
And what's great about headphones and earbuds nowadays, quality's so amazing. You can hear the panning pretty well too.
Yeah.
When I was in high school, I finally realized I was listening to Pink Floyd, and wish you were here, the intro only comes in through your left ear,
and everything turns on. Almost.
Yeah. It
Cool
each part
intro.
comes in on each ear, and then all of it, once the main guitar
It
starts.
sounds
It's sick.
once that first hits, it sounds almost someone hits a flip, a switch.
Yeah.
Everything else turns back on.
Yeah, it's really cool.
The intros, the
The
radio,
way they
in
do
the
that.
office.
Yeah.
Then they said when they were recording that song, they ran a mic outside of Abbey Road's recording studios to Gilmour's car with the radio on, and he's flipping around in his passenger seat.
Really?
I love.
That's what that was?
I love reading stuff like that because on Money, that's them flipping, or that's not them. That's Alan Parsons actually, the one who mixed and produced the album. That's a bucket of change. Making all those mixes, and the same thing with Time with the alarm clocks. That's just them with mics.
That's my favorite Pink Floyd.
Really,
I love that song.
That's them walking around an antique shop.
Yeah.
I love the background.
And now people just go stock audio.
Yeah, stock audio.
Going
Yeah.
YouTube down
Locked.
this.
Yeah. Now you just go I need free audio.
It shows
everything.
the sophistication of craft to be able to do that, because
Yeah.
that's when everyone starts out, I get that it's basic, but they develop that skill over time. It's it's so interesting
By
to
the
see
time
that.
Pink Floyd was working on Time and Money and that, they had already been working as a band 5-6 years.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Really working through. They had already gone through a guitarist. They were at a very established. So they didn't hop on the scene and go, I got a new ditty called Time. They were very established in doing their craft. The album before Dark Side of the Moon, I forgot, Obscured by Clouds. That's Dark Side precursor. where it's like they were figuring out how to do all the stuff on Dark Side. I love that album too, where it's like Dark Side almost like B-sides.
Yeah.
It's a really cool thing. They're an awesome band.
Oh, I
It's
love
like
them.
all the bands back then had like another set of integrity, where it's like there were guys from back home and they this big fancy studio, but they're
I'm from Idaho.
from making out.
They mastered the craft of
Yeah.
creating music. You know,
Yeah.
that's all they did.
I think really what it is at the end, if you think about it, like what's the most perfect product we can give a consumer? It's one that has very few flaws in it, essentially.
Yeah.
And like the more intricate it is like a product, and the more you can separate out different channels of the music, the more value it has too. Because
And it's like the channels too. It's like you look at bands like the Grateful Dead, they weren't focused on like a perfect product out of the studio. They were focused on like a perfect party, a perfect live experience for their fans and like the family. But like you look at a band like the Beatles, when they do 114 takes of a song that didn't make the album, it's like when they weren't playing live, they were looking for perfection.
Yeah.
They were looking at like giving their fans a perfect product.
Yeah.
They stopped playing live after 67.
66.
Or 66.
Yeah. They were just done with it. But I always imagine like even if the Beatles they were gonna break up, but if they did on like this final tour, they sounded like crap back in like 64 because they didn't have the technology, because they couldn't hear themselves play because they had tiny little amps.
Yeah.
And they were playing to 100,000 people. It's counterintuitive.
And it sounds like grainy too.
Not only grainy, it's just like the sheer volume is not there.
Doesn't reach,
Everyone's screaming over it.
It's like using a 50-watt practice amp to play it.
In
Exactly.
the 70s though, that's when they started.
That's when they started miking up and playing it through the PA systems. But it's like funny when the Beatles played Japan in '66, like one of their last shows. Japan was so authoritarian, where their military, like almost like military police, were like almost outnumbered the amount of fans were in the auditorium.
Wow.
And like the crowd was silent. And the Beatles, having never really played a silent show in years, didn't sound good because they were all out of tune. Because 90% of the time, 95% of the time, the audience was screaming over them and they didn't have to play perfect.
Yeah.
So when the audience was silenced, it's crazy when you hear it.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Who would you say, Lane, who would you say like your top 5 like the bands that like you enjoyed over the years that inspire you the most as a guitar player and someone who records music are?
Yeah, I mean that's like
or solo artists.
It's a broad question in a great way because like it's not on like a who's your favorite guitar player, because it's like everyone has that answer of like Hendrix, but like the way you produce, the way you record.
Yeah, I mean exactly. Not just like as a guitar player, but also as someone who's an artist.
I mean, like obviously, like my first infatuation with like music was like the Beatles. I mean, like really, and that's a perfect first thing because they did everything.
Yeah, same with me.
They did everything like they did the studio and they did the live thing and they did the screaming but they did the jamming and they kind of was the perfect storm of everything.
Variety.
They laid out the blueprint too for like the modern rock.
And they never stuck to one thing. They were doing, rowdy. They were basically a punk band before they got picked up by Brian Epstein, and they never stuck to one style. They were always kind of like, you can look up anything on them and you'll find something. They did country songs. They have Ringo singing. They have George singing, and then not only that, following how they made the hits, their producer, like how they did the studio thing, and then they're following their solo. Because like I'll say the Beatles, and then that also follows under like Paul, John, George, like seeing what they do in their solo, like seeing what Paul's doing now, and like still releasing music, still working with like musicians, even if it's not top tier. It's like
the song you made with Kanye.
That's his most played song on Spotify.
Really?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but it's fucking Spotify. Like you don't really like you buy an album or even a CD. You don't listen really.
I found something out that when Paul McCartney, he just released a McCartney 3, that's like his quarantine album. And he released it, and he knows no one's gonna buy it. He knows the hardcore fans, are gonna buy it, and not only it, but every version of it. So what he did to get #1 album was not release one version. He released every vinyl version. He released every color and made it to a different store. One at Target, one at Walmart, one at this.
Smart.
Right? Knowing that the hardcore Beatles fans was going to go to every store,
Get all of them.
Get every single version.
buy every single version, and in turn, he got #1 album. He got a #1 album because of a technicality like that, and that's what.
That's smart as fuck.
Business ingenuity.
That's business. Being in the business for 50 years, 60 years, and being like, we're gonna get #1. I'm not gonna get #1. It's like Ringo. It's like I'm not gonna release this right now, and everyone's like almost like sympathy listening at this point. But it's like we know they're not releasing the same quality work.
Yeah.
But we're like, nice, you're still doing the thing. You're still doing the thing you do.
Here's something nice to listen to.
Yeah, I think what's interesting is, especially from like that time period, I feel like one of the most nostalgic like pieces of technology is the vinyl. Like vinyl is still used broadly as like a vintage item that people want, whereas like
I don't really call it vintage.
Yeah,
it's like they're still making them.
Well, they're still making them, but like it's an antiquated technology compared to what we have now. But it's like it's one of the only.
I would probably disagree.
You don't think it's antiquated? It's definitely antiquated to like a smartphone.
I guess it's not as mainstream. Yeah. But there's still like huge following and a lot of like technological advances for like vinyl equipment.
But if you want to show someone a song, your first instinct is not to grab your record.
Your record.
I'll have your record.
Exactly. You go for
but I think it's interesting because it's one of the only technologies that I can actually think of that's still like around from a different time.
So you were mentioning this earlier. One of the other things that is never really like developed that much or updated that much differently technologically throughout the past like centuries, guitars actually.
Really?
Like guitars are very similar to when they came out in the 50s, 60s. Like there's some like amps actually developed a little bit more because like I was watching this thing with Dan Auerbach from the Black Keys and the Arcs, and he was buying like a vintage Gretsch, and he was talking about how like there used to be like with the positive and negative like circuits in the amp or whatever. There was no like grounding, so like if you were to like hold like the strings to mute them and touch an amp, you can get electrocuted.
People died.
People have died.
The Yardbirds, so the original bands like.
How do you even find out? How do people even learn about
ground in there, bro?
So like the original.
Just a recording session, your friend dies. Like
you have to know.
You okay, bud?
There's the band.
That's so fun.
The Yardbirds, who basically bred every great guitar player. Jimmy Page, Eric Clapton, Jeff Beck, all these amazing guitar players. And the bassist, I think, one day was in his basement and went to go plug his amp in something, electrocuted, water on the ground or something, died. And so Chris Reef, I think his name was. Insane.
That is wild.
Those definitely have.
Those thankfully have changed, but guitars themselves actually are very similar.
Do
you guys actually, from your two point of views, do you see the guitar having any constraints that could be improved? Like, is there anything that when you play it, you're like, no?
It depends on the guitar.
We were just I was saying like when in the 40s they had a really hard time amplifying the guitar. They had it was acoustic, and when you plug in an acoustic guitar and you try to amplify that, it has a lot of feedback. It's picking up itself basically.
And that's why hollow body is feedback more than
it gets in a loop of itself. But in the 50s they kind of.
Is that something to do with vibrations?
Yeah, it has a weird. I don't really understand it, but in the 50s, 1951, Leo Fender came out with the Telecaster, and that like was the first mass-produced electric guitar, and that kind of changed everything. They made pickups, and they were the same kind of winders, but they kind of perfected it. And if you get a guitar from 1951, it looks exactly like the ones they're making today, And not only that, the more expensive ones, they're trying to make exactly like the ones from that.
Yeah.
That's it.
To the wire they were using. People know exactly.
But with the ground, right?
Yeah, exactly. But some of those initial projects they were making, it's like amazing how like they just got it right the first time. He just did it.
Yeah.
And when you play guitar, like when you can play a 1954 Stratocaster, and you can think, I have no clue what could make this guitar better. And like they tried to in the 70s, and they realized it made it worse.
What's the oldest guitar you've ever held in your hands?
I played a guitar worth $175,000 a couple months ago. A 1966 Gibson Carina Flying V.
Wow.
Flying V.
The last one they ever produced.
Wow.
The last original Carina. It was a specific wood they used and a specific way they made them. And it was the year they changed.
Those are some weird looking guitars.
It was and the fact that Flying V, it looks like something out of the 80s.
Yeah.
But they produced this
so
thing in 1957. At the same time as pink stove tops and ovens and all these big station wagons, they produced
fucking wood on the side.
Yeah, the station wagons with the wood paneling that would rot on the street as you drove. It would rot. We would rain.
I never got them. Those were a car I never got what people fucked with, and then also the Chevy El Camino. Like I think it was a Chevy. You know those ones that's like a sedan, but it had like a truck bed.
Dude, the El Camino was sick, bro.
They fit.
You like the El Camino?
It's
I
utility.
like the El Camino.
I like it.
I think it's a sick.
I think they're cool.
Sick sedan.
It looks like a sedan with a truck bed.
Yeah, it's
Replace-
convenient.
It's so sick,
There's
dude.
a lot of
I would buy a
space.
truck.
Replace the El
Well, it
Camino
costs a lot more.
with a what are they called? I just had PT Cruiser. Replace it with a PT
Those
Cruiser.
are fucked too.
Those are fucking hideous.
Yeah, PT Cruisers.
No, I saw this the other day. Right?
It's not even. How are you even putting these in the same conversation?
And someone was like,
The
"We should
Camino is like
manufacture-"
fucking sexy.
Like
that's such a
someone
trash.
drew a PT Cruiser, and some guy in that corporation went,
That's good.
"Yeah, let's spend hundreds of thousands of dollars
I
manufacturing
kind of want a
that."
Camino just to piss you off now.
Nah, I won't get pissed. I just think it's weird. Like,
I think they're
I
cool
don't- I
cars.
think-
I
I
think
you
think
can't
they're
put that
cool.
much in there because it's small, and then you can't fit many people inside.
Well, you can fit a lot more.
But it's like way
than
better than like
normal
it's way better than like a mid-sized sedan for
I
like
think in a
cargo
past life you got
space.
hit by an El Camino.
Not really, because the
Yes, it
sedan has a
is.
real trunk, not
Yeah.
just a truck bed.
Bro, a truck
Well,
bed
it has
more
an
than a
attachment that you can put on.
Alright, if you did that, that's more.
What
That's
is the
still.
station?
But a truck bed
Yeah.
can still
That's what I'm
fit
saying. It's
more.
sick.
I
It's
think
like so
the
much
Truck
more.
bed
Like,
can
so
still
many nicer
fit
cars.
more than a trunk.
I love
Yeah,
how
but
in the
It's
some are
customizable.
better because you're not gonna have shit out in the open.
In the 60s and 70s, they were like, they had a hard time with family cars. They were like,
Yeah.
can't figure out how to put more seats. We just make them longer. They were like basically making limos, right?
Yeah.
They used to have those station wagons with like third row seating and they'd like face backwards.
That's
Yeah.
what cars were made out of, like
Volvos,
steel and iron.
Oh my god.
Like they didn't have like
27,000
really
pounds.
strong plastic. Like
I actually
they-
think like that would have been a cool time to live in, just because like American ingenuity on like a lot of
it
products
was amazing.
was amazing.
And even cars back then, they
Yeah.
were like the best cars in the world. Were
Yeah, we're
American.
American made.
It's the same thing where it's like you're looking, even now you can get a Tesla, and the Tesla is probably the most advanced car you can get right now. On the,
Yeah,
Yeah.
what in the world.
on the main market.
In the world, I would say. Right now, yeah.
I'm sure there's
The
some
technology
fucking-
that's-
I'm sure there's some.
Well, there's some
car
new
behind the
like
sheet.
startups coming out of
Yeah.
China that like have very
Yeah.
similar.
I'm sure there's a car in some underground bunker in some U.S.
Oh, yeah.
facility
Probably,
that
yeah.
fucking blows.
That can actually like
Out of the
pass the
water.
speed of light and like go out into
Honestly,
space or some
the
shit.
people that make cars that can destroy a Tesla are just people who like got into cars young and spend their whole lives just like how can I upgrade, modify, and make my car the best?
I like that. Like, I love the people that make cars and like have a passion of like.
Yeah.
I like an Elon Musk of like, oh, I like this car, I'm gonna make it. But I
Yeah.
love the people even more who take a made car and think, how the fuck can I make this better? How can I
Yeah.
modify this? Like the people that take Teslas and basically supercharge them. I'm fascinated. Like,
Rich rebuilds.
yeah, it's like
Yeah, he's
you,
great.
you
He's
take an
sick.
already great product and make it like one of a kind and like have
it's
that
true.
perfect like like they take like what is it Mercedes Sprinter vans.
Yeah,
They
turn
turn
into
those
like
into camper
campers.
vans.
Yeah.
Like I was watching the Wee Man from Jack.
Yeah, I saw
I haven't
this
seen
where he
it.
lives in a Sprinter van. He like
Yeah.
skateboards everywhere.
They take an already great product and they modify it to be even
what they
better.
want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm all about. I was telling
Yeah.
them about it earlier. Like, I love the fact, like, and like, if even it comes like guitars, amps. If it makes my life a little easier, and if it takes a little money off the value of a product, fuck it.
Yeah.
I'm all about like on my room. There's so many screw holes. Like, I would be horrible about like having real estate, because like if the screw needs to go on my wall to like help do like hold up something.
It's
like,
going.
It's in. It's
No
it's already hammered in. Like, it's
That's not
already
actually
screwed
screw
in.
holes aren't that hard to like.
Yeah. It's
No.
just like putty.
I'm
Yeah,
real good at
fucking
spackling. I'm real good at spackling.
I also always
Be that
thought
good.
these were fucking weird. Like these right here. These old GMC motorhomes, like how they came in this
Oh,
color.
Yeah, I don't like
Oh,
that
yeah.
shit.
They look like everybody in like the
was
70s
that
and
old-
80s.
What was that old one called? There was like an old RV. I forget what it's
The
called.
aluminum ones.
No. The Airstreams were actually kind of cool.
Airstreams.
Airstreams are
Airstream.
cool.
But there's one that I
Those sell
can't.
for a lot.
I can't remember the name of the company, but it's such a shitty
Yeah.
GMC.
product.
Those
no, I don't know.
ones, the
Mitsubishi.
GMC ones.
Mm-mm.
Every movie in the 80s and 90s thought, or not the 80s, like before, like 60s and 70s and 80s, thought exactly that van
Yeah.
was how spaceships look like. They were like Spaceballs and like Star Wars, and they were
Yeah.
like, that's how a spaceship looks, right?
Yeah.
The camper van. No, it doesn't.
Dude, it looks so
bizarre.
bad now
Right?
It's
too.
so retro.
You look back at like those movies, they thought like, I love watching a movie from like 1981. Think about what 2020 would look like.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, we blew you guys out of the fucking water. We thought.
Yeah, but what about like the alternative, like Back to the Future, when they thought 2015 would have like flying cars?
I think
And we
Yeah,
The biggest
they had
problem-
real hoverboards, and now we call hoverboards just these boards with two wheels on them.
Yeah.
It's a segue.
It's
Well,
not
I always
hovering.
hated that.
It's not
here's the
hovering.
thing is I think
Yeah.
like
You can't
future
call it a hoverboard.
Future always sees technology improve, but like the problem with making predictions is it rarely happens in what you predict it will.
Yeah.
So like right now, artificial intelligence and like gene editing is super big.
Yeah.
But they predicted that we would be like flying on floating skateboards.
Yeah, CRISPR,
Yeah.
the entire human genome was like decoded in like 2015.
Yeah.
CRISPR's a thing now. Like you can edit the human genome.
Yeah.
It probably costs a shit ton of money.
Super, and the other things like the ethical risks that are also
There's a-
involved.
Yeah, but
There's
if
a whole
someone wants to
side
do
of
it, they
it
don't
that's
care.
Yeah, well, someone did it in China, but
Yeah.
I know they faced the government's wrath too.
Yeah. Yeah, what's new?
Yeah.
Start a company, governmental wrath.
But I mean, like, when we're actually gonna see the benefits of gene editing, it's probably gonna be way down the line. I mean, you could probably do it on
I
you could-
don't think it's that far down the line, honestly.
I just think the problem is when it comes to regulating
We're
it.
gonna
Like,
see its
they're gonna-
benefits in
When you
medicine.
think it's
Yeah,
far down
for
the
sure.
line, it isn't.
That's true. That's also true.
3D printing.
They thought AI was like far down the line. AI is like
Even-
advancing
even with stuff like the
exponentially.
COVID vaccine, I thought it was gonna
Yeah.
be years.
Yeah, it's
I
wild.
thought it was gonna be like, fuck, we might be
Sure,
looking
like-
at this.
Dude,
No, I know,
development-
because like everything,
Really?
like it's rare that every single fucking economic resource goes to
It's
one
a
thing.
gold
Sure,
rush.
the money wasn't.
For-
the money was
yeah.
screwed
When
up.
the
Bio-
money's there, you'd be
Yeah.
surprised how much shit gets done,
For the
especially
people who
with
have the
government.
resources to work on it, it's a gold rush. Because the government's like, oh, you're
Injecting
working on
money.
that? Here's a shit ton
Dude,
of
if
money.
this,
Yeah.
if
Did you hear-
COVID didn't hit anybody like if COVID didn't hit the government financially, or if it only hit like black people financially or women financially, they would be like, oh, that vaccine doesn't need to be worried.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
we got time on that.
You
one.
notice how like Ebola or Zika, because those were happening like abroad, the U.S. was just like, yeah, like we don't give a
Do you
fuck.
know?
worries.
Did you know the importance of cash injections into biomedical companies is actually going to speed up development for vaccines on other like prominent diseases? They
Yeah, I
actually
saw an
predict that
article
we
about
like
that.
there might be cures for cancer that
Yeah.
come in the next 10 years because
Just
of
because they
how
got all
fast.
that-
Well,
they
there are tons of research. There's tons of like research around the world where they find things that look super promising for things like MS, Alzheimer's, and cancer. But
Yeah.
it's so hard to go from like finding proof that this could make a difference to actually making like a commercial product.
Yeah, that does make a difference.
Utilizing it.
Yeah.
The thing that's crazy though is like vaccines went from like what were they? They were probably like the 30th to 50th main priority of a government to the top priority the like number one slot.
Well, I don't know about that.
And you get like a cash injection.
It was during the Trump administration, so I don't think that was.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking like during Biden's. It's like number one now.
Well, actually,
So
Obama set up like a whole pandemic infrastructure.
And Trump was like, "Fuck that."
He's like, "Why are you here? Get the fuck out."
You know, little did he know, 3 years later, that was gonna blow up in his face.
Yeah, it's like if you read that
Who
to
could
me,
have thought?
It takes so little
could have thought like
for pandemic mitigation too, but we just didn't have the funds allocated.
No, but in 2016, if you read to me like, oh, we're spending 3.2 billion on
I would have been like, cut that shit.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like,
Mitigation.
Get it out of here.
Yeah, right. Actually, that wouldn't be one of the first things. ATF, I'm looking at you. You should get the fuck out.
We're also looking at Homeland Security.
I would cut. I mean, I would cut so much.
ATF, FCC. What the fuck is the FCC? Can we please stop funding the FCC? All right. Defund the FCC.
I have a really. This could actually work in a
TSA, we're looking at.
Yeah, TSA, we're looking at.
That is the part of Homeland.
Like, what does the FCC even do? What did they do? We had the internet. They were created for the radio.
Every quarter the government should pick, or every quarter like everybody in the country should vote on who gets cut.
Yeah.
And when we get cut,
Everyone
get cut, everyone gets stimmies.
Yeah.
But let's be real. You already know that the number one thing would either be like Medicare, Social Security, or like the military. It'd just be like the huge programs that people don't want to fund.
Is it?
I think they were all introduced at the.
I think Homeland is still necessary, but we could cut second.
We have border
like
control. We have like the FBI and CIA, and we have the NSA.
FBI and CIA honestly are the main. Like if those guys, we could cut like everyone else. NSA, FBI, CIA, just expand them.
Yeah.
That's actually why I believe in like libertarians. Like someone like an Andrew Yang. I think people will see him as a Democrat, but he's way more market oriented. Where you have to cut government and also increase spending. It's just restructuring the government and updating it to like a modern era.
Well, you save a ton of money just updating.
Yeah, updating.
I hate that we don't, as a government, now that we have like all this technology at our fingertips, that when we like talk about like stuff like at a state house, we're using phones from 2003. Like everything should be updated, and if everything was updated and everyone was properly trained on it, this would flow so much more smoothly, and we wouldn't have to spend so much money on it.
I mean, the problem I have with the government is a lot of the times they subsidize the wrong things. Like, how are we still subsidizing oil and gas companies, but like not subsidizing like advancements in green technology or in AI? Like, these are things that the Chinese government, like someone who's trying to pass us in GDP, are sending massive amounts of capital into to try and increase innovation because it's the future.
And you don't have to
However, the U.S. government isn't structured properly, so like we elect a bunch of people who then get paid out by K Street lobbyists to keep like innovation down and just have like massive corporations continue their reign at the top.
The stuff with like lobbyists and getting like the lobbyists for medication and pharmacies or like pharmaceutical companies, it's like insane that's just well known and allowed of like, yeah, that gun control isn't getting passed because gun companies are actively lobbying with like what?
Yeah, like how can a schizophrenic get his hands on a weapon?
Yeah.
That shouldn't
literally.
I like guns personally, but like some guy with a history of mental illness should be able to buy a gun.
That's facts.
Like
there should be,
especially when he hears voices in his head.
There should be like mandatory background checks, and they should be enforced in every state for sure.
There should be background checks for things like
banning certain guns. I don't know. I like guns. I like guns.
That's like saying.
I think some guns could be banned.
Most of the guns that you think should be banned probably already already are, honestly.
Yeah.
Like fully auto is banned.
Honestly, to actually,
Semi-auto.
most of the people that can get their hands on like really serious weapons are like ex-police force,
Ex-military.
ex-military.
And
Do you
you
think
know
that's a
that
good
when they have
idea?
the badge, they're already fucked
Do you
enough.
think that
They're already
ex-military,
corrupt enough.
like, so we're currently living in a state of like, when a soldier gets home from war, we kind of like don't really admit it, like we don't really acknowledge PTSD.
Oh yeah.
We're also very pro-gun with them. We're like, oh, that's the veteran, like, that's the guy with the gun, like, we're all good. Like, even though that guy, like, his dog screeches at night and he thinks he's...
Like, who the hell knows when he hears a certain noise, like, he
Yeah.
might, if he's concealed carrying, he might, like, grab his weapon.
Here's what's ridiculous
Well,
though.
the same on the
Messed
other
up.
side of that coin, like he's.
Bend
Military guys
yeah.
are the ones that are trained the most on
Yeah,
how to actually
yeah.
safely operate and
That's
take
true.
care of
I
one.
100% see that
Yeah.
argument, but I'm like, you also gotta, you gotta check.
Yeah.
You gotta be
There's gotta
proactive, like,
be background
to
checks,
be,
for sure.
like, to have a viable, like, I was talking this about, like, with my sister, it's like, we follow the Constitution, we follow the exact wording of it, and which is very kind of, like, so primitive, that we're like,
Yeah.
the militia, even though, like, when you
I
read
love it,
into
'cause
it,
it limits what the government can do to
obviously, it's a very good point to it, like, where it's like, cool, that means you can't do that. Go what amendment is it? Like if the federal state doesn't say it, the state can basically do it.
Yeah.
Like,
For me,
because
it's like,
yeah.
it actually protects you, like, as an individual.
Mhm.
A lot of the things that you can do are basically laid out in the Constitution because the government can't infringe. There's a
Yeah.
number of rights that you possess that they can't infringe on. That goes for every American.
Yeah.
And I mean, as soon as the thing that people don't understand is like violating constitutional rights is once you take it away from someone else, you're also taking it away from yourself. And I
Yeah.
think people don't realize that. Like, it sounds great to try and take away a constitutional right if someone's being hurt by it, but you don't realize that in the long term it affects you and hurts you somewhere down the line as well.
I think
And it's
people are
part
like,
of the problem.
I think America's really liberal, not in that political sense of just a very kind of like apprehensive about talking about adding amendments and being like adding anything. They think it's just so.
I'm actually in the
aged.
pool that there should be some amendments added.
Well, at this point,
Government's
because of the
outdated.
way the financial system, or like, because of lobbying and campaign finance,
Yeah.
when a bill is proposed, by the time it reaches the point where it would, or what is it? It's a bill that becomes
A
a law. Yeah. By the time it becomes a law, by the time it's ready to be passed, there's like another like $5 million added onto it, and like a bunch of
So
random shit that
change,
doesn't
yeah.
need to be there. It has nothing to do with what the bill was originally made
Yeah.
for.
This is kind of a problem with the
It's
cesspool that is
insane.
Washington is you're not going to get my vote
Yeah.
unless you add this amendment that helps my home state in this way.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a bridge, maybe it's a pipeline.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
something that stimulates economic growth.
Yeah.
Usually.
Yeah.
And I
Very
think with
tit
the,
for tat.
And how is that put into a healthcare piece of legislation? How the fuck does a pipeline or a bridge have anything to do with healthcare? That's part of the problem with the U.S. government.
Doesn't make any
but
sense.
it's the same system that in the the COVID relief package that we declassified UFO documents.
Yeah.
We got stuff like that though. It's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah,
It is
Even though
so-
we might be fucked over, isn't it cool? We got this over here, guys. Do you want a treat? You want a treat?
They didn't release enough on UFOs actually.
You want a treat over here?
So-
Go get it.
I want more declassified.
Files are over there.
Stuff gets declassified over time.
Over time. But if it's important enough, I don't think they'll declassify
I
something
think
related.
it's
Well, yeah, if it's important to like our innovation and security. They're not gonna
Yeah, but at
declassify
the government's discretion at that definition,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, what they see like for our safety might be like the most minuscule thing of like knowing that JFK actually fucked Marilyn Monroe. That might be on a government document that's classified just because the Americans are better off not knowing. Like, it's
I
like
mean,
seriously.
The other
Yeah.
thing is like
Like,
we
for
see
sure.
we
He's
see a lot
dead.
of things through a domestic lens, but if you look at how international people
yeah.
perceive Americans, you can also see like they think our government's just as corrupt as everywhere else because it
Yeah.
actually is.
Yeah.
If you think about it, like
It's not
one of
that
the biggest gross violations of human rights
Yeah.
is the NSA's prison program. Like, if you see what happened under the Patriot
Well, I'd
Act,
say there are worse.
that's
violations
up
of
there.
human
Like,
rights
we have zero,
in the
zero.
world.
But you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
our government isn't
That's
like
bad.
It's not-
all ponies and roses. It's
But
pretty
then again,
fucked up.
how does
at the
it
end of
like?
the
How
day.
does it affect the average U.S. citizen? Really? Not.
How many terrorist attacks does it stop? Is my argument. Not that many.
I'd say it stops more than.
Nah, I guarantee you it's not that much.
I'd say it stops more than
The
we
Patriot
think.
Act.
No.
It's barely at
I
all.
don't think it does either because other countries don't have shit like that. They're not getting attacked.
Alright, that's fair. I might have to look.
I'm
There's
never.
just intelligence.
I'll never be
agencies.
okay with any government spying on me.
Yeah, they shouldn't be listening to our phones and shit, and looking through the cameras and shit.
Remember
Probably
when-
watching this sooner or later.
Right? They're probably
Yeah.
watching this right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah.
not Wi-Fi, thankfully. They're probably listening.
Need a
to like-
warrant.
That's what you think.
You need
That's
a
what you
warrant
think,
for.
buddy.
You need a warrant for
Most
lawful
developed countries'
search and
governments are
seizure.
doing that,
But you can spy on us. How the fuck does
Most
that work?
developed countries' governments are doing that, but in like in Europe, they're super. The government's great with like modernized law.
Well, the EU is very strict about personal privacy.
Yeah, like if you request all the data that's been collected on you, every corporation that has it is required to show you what they have.
I'd love to see that file.
It's pretty cool.
I bet
Here-
that file is so much
That would
bigger.
scare me.
Here you can file, but the company can deny it.
Of course.
Ooh,
Of course
that's
they will.
brutal.
Yeah.
Because we're
Yeah, what-
not
why
only is
they-
America like we're so about the citizens, like yeah.
That's such a scheme though.
Yeah.
That's so not true.
Yeah.
We're so about the.
We're
The
so
government
not.
fucks us, so we have to find ways to
We're
fuck
so
the
like
government.
it's like the police.
No, it's not
We're
just
to
the
serve
government.
and protect.
It's the people in power that want to fuck us. Every one of them. It's the government. It's
Yeah,
the
people behind
elites.
the mask.
It's
Yeah,
it's
the
ev-
mask, yeah.
But it
It's the
sends a
Wall Street
signal that
elites.
like if we do shit to fuck them over, we're
It's
fine
like
too.
face value things look great, and then you look under the hood, and you realize it's a lot worse than it
Yeah,
looks.
it's people actually like doing the gears.
Yeah, it's
Speaking
fucked.
of the government being fucking like corrupt and sus in
Stupid
general.
bastards.
So yeah, recently, like, especially the federal government, recently the White House said that several of their employees were either asked to resign or work remotely, which I don't know how that makes a difference because they failed, like, I don't even know if it was a drug test or if
I
it
don't
was
think
a,
it, I
I
think
think it was a
I
questionnaire.
think it was admittance of prior use.
Usage of marijuana.
Which is ridiculous.
Which just seems to me, it just frankly seems
Wait,
irrelevant.
they openly admitted to
I
it?
think.
Well, I was reading the article on it, and it like said that like it was like a questionnaire because apparently like most White House jobs like you can't like executive branch jobs you can't have like because it's illegal federally and it's a federal job. So despite
Yeah,
the fact that it's
that's fair.
literally fucking legal in DC, it's still illegal for them at work. So they have to get like a lot of them have to get tested. Like in the security department, they have to get tested. Apparently there's certain jobs where it's not, like Biden said he was actually going to make it less strict by saying that some jobs, like, it doesn't matter,
Yeah.
but, like, now this shit's coming out, and I don't know who's responsible for it really entirely, but,
I mean.
I don't know. I know Biden wasn't really for legalization, so.
Yeah, but when you have a vice president going out and rallying and saying, you know, all this about marijuana and admitting she used it, which isn't a bad thing. It's not.
But then you see all the
Certainly
people.
put a bunch of
No.
people in
Yeah.
jail
She
for
definitely
Bush-
did that.
Bush,
yeah.
Clinton, and Obama all came out and said they've used weed
Yeah.
before. You don't see them getting thrown out of the White
Exactly.
House.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
saying you're literally there's pictures of Obama with a joint, and it's a great thing that it is. 'Cause
Yeah.
It's normalizing it. It's like, yeah, you also see like how Churchill like famously or what is it?
He
They
ripped
had-
cigars.
Yeah, and they like during Prohibition they had like prescriptions for alcohol.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Could you imagine?
During Prohibition, what do you think the politicians were going out and doing?
Literally,
Yeah.
God forbid someone smokes someone that grows on the earth. So
Yeah.
like, just having someone that like, you're going out and spewing like, oh, we're like the Democratic side, we're gonna like, you know, decriminalize marijuana, and then you're like,
And they pull shit like this.
It's all fucking. It's a
ridiculous.
It's
fugazi.
insane.
Here's
It's
the
all
thing that I
fucking
think's
fake.
ridiculous.
It's to steal your vote, and it's to just control
Well, what I think is ridiculous
both
is,
sides.
like, I get
It's
that, like,
fucking hilarious.
yeah, I think, like, I mean, I know, as speaking as someone who's worked at the Mass State House, I know some jobs there test for marijuana usage, but like it's not because it's like enforced by state law. It's just because like their policy as like as a department says that you can't be using it. Which I guess like if you were to put that in the context of a private business, like they're allowed to say that. But I just think the fact that like they're not like even caught doing it, they just said that they did it in the past or got tested. Like unless someone's like a violent criminal in the past, like who gives a fuck what they did back in the day? Like plenty of people have said or done such shit.
Well, Kamala gave a fuck back in the day. She would have put you in jail.
Yeah, that's facts actually.
But that's what I'm saying though. It's like there's so many
To
people
be fair,
who've done shit that's just they wouldn't do now.
alright, these people are smart enough to be working for the White House. They should know like how strict the federal government has been towards marijuana usage, even in states where it's legal. They've raided compounds and stores in legal states.
I mean, that's just absurd that the executive branch put out a survey for people to fill out honestly.
Agreed, but
And
I mean
then
they
they
should
were
have been
like,
smart enough to be
Oh,
like,
you
nah.
answered honestly, you can't work.
Still
It's
Cancel
That's
culture on the
What the
federal level.
fuck?
That's kind of the sad part though. It's like they trusted they're
Their
working
employer.
for their government.
Yeah.
They trusted their employer and thinking they're gonna ask me if I've smoked marijuana before. I guess I can be truthful.
I wouldn't say yes,
problem-
personally. I would have been
The
like,
one
fuck
problem I
that.
see with what you're
It's
saying
like when you
though,
go to the doctor
is that-
when you're younger, they're like, you use drugs? You're like, no.
this is the problem that
Sexually active?
with that though
No,
is
no
like
sex
this
for me.
this one
I feel like
employer.
that. I feel
It's
like
not
that
like
would
any
be
other
bad.
employer.
That's
This is the employer that sets standards throughout the entire country. When you're dealing with the federal government, even as a job,
Yeah.
you have to look through it as the lens of like they set up almost every
Yeah, they set
regulation
the
that we
standard.
abide by.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
like,
I get that, but it's like so backwards. Like
oh, it is.
it's just such a backwards.
It
way
should
of
be
thinking.
legal. I don't get why it's not. But
No, it should be.
It should be legal, and
Federally
also
legal.
even if they did like even if they said when I was like 23 I snorted coke, but now I'm 50 and I have a family and work for federal government, they shouldn't be fucking asked to resign over that.
You know who was a known fucking coke user in college?
Bill
Bush
Clinton.
Jr.
Literally.
I thought Clinton also
Clinton
did
too.
you know what's also
Bush
kind of funny.
Jr. was like, dude,
JFK
he was
did
like,
speed.
Yeah, JFK.
JFK had Dr. Feelgood behind every fucking
Yeah.
flight of his.
Donald Trump did.
There's like multiple parts to this though. It's like
Donald Trump
to
does
be
that
fair,
all.
to be
Yeah,
fair,
he takes him.
some of the social aspects the new administration is doing better with. But let's be real. Let's be real here. What fundamentally has changed besides Trump not being a dumbass on Twitter? Take a look at the border. Take a look at the weed laws.
Yeah.
Take a look at the
Well,
fucking
The government
foreign policy.
operates the same.
If you actually look at the statistics, Bush, Clinton, and Obama all deported more people than Trump did.
Then really, that's interesting. I didn't know
And I
that.
love like going to bat for the Democratic Party.
I
It's
don't.
like-
I don't like to go to bat for either party.
No.
And then the same.
They have the same
exactly.
problem.
Being an extremist,
Yeah,
going
exactly.
to bat for anyone really is kind of backwards. Like
The same people that are like
Yeah.
human rights matter. It's
I-
like if you look at the stats for like
Yeah, there's people.
Biden as vice president and
look at
his
the
President
stats,
Obama,
they don't matter.
they did even worse things.
There's literally
For
people
me,
at the border,
yeah.
he's bombing people overseas, he's fucking, like, honestly, so far, like, he's done the stupid ass weed thing making people get fired. Like, what has he done so
I
far?
think the next candidate that we elect in is going to be
Andrew,
miles ahead of this guy.
Yeah.
I think
Oh,
we're
yeah.
gonna-
That was
I think we're-
Pranami Andrew.
I think America's tired.
I think we're done
of
with old
this.
people.
Yeah.
I hope so, but I don't actually know if that fixes the problem because like the one thing I will say is
Well, a younger Congress
I don't care
is what
about
we
someone's
need, along
party.
with a younger president.
yeah, I don't care about someone's party association as much as I do if their values kind of align with like what I would vote
Yeah.
towards like
Yeah.
and also if I see them honest like I might not agree with everything Bernie Sanders says but I actually see him as a very genuine person like
Yeah,
as a
yeah,
human
yeah.
like I trust a lot of what
consistent.
he believes in I actually think like he
And he never
believes in as a
changes what he
person.
believes in.
Yeah.
Agreed.
hasn't changed.
That's
sticks
too
to
many
it.
too many
Yeah.
problems with the people we do elect, like the Joe Bidens, the Donald Trumps, the
They
Hillary
do whatever
Clintons.
the party tells
They
them.
they change, they flip flop all the time. They're not like they're whatever their advisors tell them to be.
Ted Cruz is a perfect
Yeah,
example.
it's true.
yeah.
Whereas
Lindsey
like
Graham, dude. Lindsey Graham like had that whole
there's-
beef with Trump when Trump leaked
Mitch
his
McConnell.
number and he
There's
fucking
something-
broke his phone, and then he's like, I actually support.
I actually
Trump.
will say
Yeah.
there's something with anti-authoritarian because like Bernie Sanders is actually in the bottom left-hand quadrant of the chart, but like Andrew Yang, Rand Paul, the
Those
guys
two
who
guys.
actually are a little bit more on the libertarian side of the spectrum, anti-government, I tend to like actually associate myself with more.
I feel like most Americans are definitely on the lower side, no matter how far right or
because
left.
they're more normal. Like
Americans are like anti-authoritarian. We're like programmed to be that way from high school. Like
walking in a line. I never got that.
To walk in a line?
Everyone walking a line.
Yeah.
The funniest thing's like state of the right is like the car lanes you have to.
Well, state of the right makes sense because like when you're in public,
and
when you're in public,
everyone
that's just
stays to
how
the
it
right.
is.
Wait, you know what I actually also don't get? What happened like during COVID? What is the point of putting directions on the aisles in the store? Like, if you're gonna not try to have people pass, you can just pass going the same direction.
I accidentally always walk up the wrong side of the aisle.
Oh, that's even a thing in this country I found out too. Like, my friends overseas are like, that doesn't happen. Because you can just be standing there and someone can still pass you.
Yeah, it doesn't make much sense.
Like, that's just like annoying.
I've actually noticed this. It's so
no
funny.
one really
Like,
follows
I've watched so many like
It's
YouTube
their
videos on international travel, and it's so funny to see like in the West and in like the Far East we take like wearing masks so seriously, but then you go to undeveloped countries, no one wears a fucking mask like at all.
I mean, even if COVID gets vaccinated, they're gonna have like 20 others come up. So.
It's like
kind of like a weird.
no, but it's funny like the degree of seriousness they take it with compared to like us. It's like this huge deal where it's like that's just another fact.
Yeah, but I'm saying they're used to disease.
Yeah, that's right. That's the point.
Here
that's
we're
the
not
point.
used to
It's like.
disease.
But even in Europe, where
I almost wonder if they like look at us and they're like, "You guys are pussies."
Even in Europe, where you think people like follow the government and actually trust them and shit, they were having anti-mask protests and like anti. It was more against
like
the
really
wars.
modern places too.
Yeah, they were burning shit
I get
down.
like the
Like the
quarantine's a little
Netherlands.
like
In Germany.
No.
weird,
Quarantine needed to happen.
Yeah, I get that, but like there was a weird. I heard an argument of like when you say the quarantine, like everyone goes in and like everyone's just like with each other in a weird way of like
That's
families
fair,
are,
actually.
but like obviously like I wear my mask, but there's always that second thought of like in the back of your mind, I'd be like when I was on the plane the other day, I was like, you know, we're all wearing masks, but like when the food comes out, like I didn't pull down my mask and grab the water the minute she gave it to me because I know that half the fucking plane just did.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I know, like I haven't flown in 8 years. I don't fly often before.
Wait, what were you flying for?
I flew to Miami and flew back.
Ooh, that's awesome. Were you on vacation?
Yeah, I took a little spring break.
That's awesome, bro.
I had never traveled like when I was like at Suffolk or anything. I've always talked about like taking the T over to, taking the blue line and just getting out of here, man. I would always say that when I was at like 10 West. And then,
by the way, how was Miami?
it was cool, but it was very, I get why there's a state of emergency.
Oh, is there? I
I
didn't.
get why there's a curfew at 8 p.m.
Damn.
Oh, do massive clubs with no mask on?
Yeah, I mean,
is that not good
so you
for
have to
COVID?
seek it out. The weird thing is, like, Miami's big. There's a lot of space in Miami, and when I say I went to Miami, I don't mean I went to South Beach.
Okay.
I had an Airbnb by the airport, so if you know anything about Miami, it's like, that's a $45 Uber to South Beach.
Oh, okay.
So it's like I wasn't near anyone.
Yeah.
I was in Little Havana. It was essentially like living, like in Lowell, like where I do, like going into CVS's, staying away from people, and just kind of,
That's so nice.
I got
Just
tested.
exploring the city.
I got back yesterday morning. I got tested when I got back, and it was a rapid test, and it was negative. So
Awesome. That's sick.
I'm fine.
That's cool.
The restaurants downtown, like I was in the Uber heading because I went to the beach one day, on like a Sunday morning, just making sure that there was no one. And the restaurants were half on each other. And because it's spring break, when
Well, we wouldn't have like something.
You hear that? You all know who we're looking at right now.
I didn't utilize my
Suffolk
mental health
admin.
awareness day. I did
We
utilize
can call some people out if we.
my mental health awareness day was spent packing for my actual spring break trip.
Yo.
But no, I had a good time. Like I was on Zoom down there, that's kind of the advantage of Zoom, where it's like
that is
I
safe.
could be out and be in Miami.
Yeah.
I honestly thought about it this way, and I kind of see myself now as a dumbass. Like, we had a year to live anywhere we wanted to. You could have gone somewhere where like the cost of living is so low.
Yep.
And just got in a stable internet connection.
Could have lived in like Arizona.
I could have.
in Arizona.
Fuck that, dude. You could have lived in Belize. You could have lived in like the Virgin Islands. You could have lived anywhere.
Yeah, cheap in there.
Well, I mean, I don't really, right now I'm trying to build connections in Boston.
It's
I managed
true.
to do
Well,
so.
You can still do that
Even
over the
during-
internet.
Not
Like,
really.
You can.
I think I've
My
kind of
friends live. You can a bit, yeah, but
I got
it's-
my
can.
job from like person to person.
yeah, it depends on your field a
I do
little
on
bit.
the
With
internet.
my field and probably yours, it's easier on the internet
It
than others.
is, yeah.
But like, what was I gonna say? Yeah, I had
revolutionized.
I had
it
friends
right
who did that though. Like UMass
Yeah,
went.
that is really cool.
UMass, what happened with them is they were gonna go back, and then what happened is like people started partying. So like we're gonna shut down parties. So they had like everyone because a bunch of people got COVID, so they moved them to like a COVID only dorm. And then that dorm started throwing down. So like, fuck it, we're all gonna just kick you guys off. No more people on campus and shit. So my friends who went there, they just got an Airbnb in New Orleans from like January till May.
Oh, that's sick. That's so dope.
It's hard to bring students to college who's been in high school and who's been literally
like waiting for this.
not only waiting but preparing. You're training. In high school, the teachers tell you every day, you're training for college. You're you know what you're doing today? You're training for college. And subconsciously, not only that, you're going home and you're kind of like, beer pong, huh? Like you're doing this shit of like, oh, there's a party sophomore year of high school. Like I'm gonna go. You drink for the first time. You smoke your first joint, and you're kind of doing this, and it's all preparing for college. And you have 4 years of this, and all of a sudden you get to college, and they're like, wait, it's on Zoom. Like, yeah, there's gonna be steam to be like left and like let out. Like, and when you have stuff like, yeah, we're gonna bring them back to campus, but we're gonna keep an eye on the partying. Like, no, you're not. They're smarter than you. The students will always
Find a way.
Always.
Find a way.
It's been like that since day fucking one.
I know that.
I love
We just act like adults are so much dumber than they actually are.
I toy with the idea of becoming a teacher and becoming the cool teacher, and I'd be like, I wouldn't be the cool teacher. I would be the teacher that is cool on the outside, and then like everyone takes advantage of them because of the cool. Like I feel like the teachers are always a fucking step behind the students.
Yeah.
And the administrators are a step behind the teachers.
Like
administrators.
I feel like actually the teachers who are like super strict, they're like the ones actually who catch shit. I think the most.
I think
not always, but the cool teachers, as you said, sometimes people are like, oh, we can do whatever the fuck they want. But if a teacher's like really like over the top and like they catch everything, you're kind of just like, fuck.
I've seen that work adversely though.
It has worked adversely.
I've seen that the teacher that doesn't give a fuck, like, fine, you don't want to fucking do this, you don't want to work on your education, fine. And then that kid kind of just goes, and everyone else that actually cares about the class pays attention.
Yeah.
And that kind of changes the kid's idea, and he starts working.
Then
you have that asshole teacher.
Piece of shit teacher who
You guys are
everyone
separated.
tries to piss them off.
Hey, you two, you guys are separated.
Yeah.
At the end of the class,
that shit.
it's gonna make me talk louder, lady.
And they're just like, I'll see you after class. Like,
so you're not fixing anything.
No.
They're gonna talk.
Yeah.
Notes. Yeah, when the phones, like, I would love to be a kid in the 80s, no phones or anything, you had to pass notes.
Passing notes.
Fucking phones. That makes it impossible.
Makes it so easy.
You can have a group chat of everybody in the class, everybody but the teacher. So everybody's in on this one thing that the teacher, it's like such an advantage, such a power trip where they think they have the power too. The students are really like, hey, check yourself.
I feel like for high school, the best teachers were kind of the ones who like, they made their expectations clear, but at the same time during class, they would like be able to like draw like stories from students and like students could joke around and stuff.
Yeah, I had an English teacher my senior year, and I was always that kid in the classroom to get us off topic.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can do it today.
Yeah, English class is the easiest to do.
Yeah, you just bullshit and all this. But I was always like, she was the one teacher that was always, when she was like, let's get back on track, I would always feel bad of like trying to get us off track, and then she would just do an amazing job of like, keeping us interested and like keeping us there. So it's like the teachers, you know that video that went crazy over the internet, like a kid just freaking out in a classroom and it's like, you don't do any work, you hand us packets, like you expect us to learn, it's like you gotta be engaged, like, and the kid's like talking like all ghetto and like everyone thinks that the kid's dumb, but like the kid has so much wisdom and like knowledge and is like the way he's like in the contents of his like the way he's speaking, it's like that's the absolute truth where it's like the teachers shouldn't get into it because it's a job with the summers off. Teachers should get into it because they have a definitive passion for students, and not only for the white students, not only for the white girls if you're a creepy white guy, not only for the not only for this, like you gotta have a definitive passion for all students and all backgrounds, and you gotta be ready to teach them and like be their mentor, because at the end of the day you look to your teachers and your parents
it's really
as to like where the future of the country is going. So when you have a people like we're currently a country raised on people who handed out packets, and so like that's like going like that's kind of showing now.
Well, we pay teachers shit. How can we expect them to be that committed?
That's the back.
It doesn't make any sense.
That's the other door. If you keep going back, there's other problems. But like when we have this like you're not reading the article, reading the headline, commenting, and just very fast reaction. I think that has something to do with like the teachers not keeping kids engaged, and the teachers like, here's a packet, and the kids go, problem one, fuck this, what is it around this classroom, that's like a thing at least I did, and then, like when I read an article now, I look at it as like a school article, I'm like, fuck this, where's the sentence that gives me what I need to know?
All I need is the answer.
All I need is the answer. Where it's like everyone else before packets and like when teachers like, well in 1862,
Well, if you actually look at like the workforce nowadays, in most like so your highest paying like corporate jobs are gonna be technology, finance, accounting. All your degree really does is says like, oh hey, I'm not like a piece of shit, I can commit to something for 4 years and get it done. And then everything after that is certificates that you go online and you have to take the initiative to learn and take the test. And that determines your pay, your skills, who values you. Like that's pretty much it.
The whole like way we like judge workers, and I think it's so backwards, and like a job applicant shouldn't know everything already. Because then they're going to know the wrong things. A job applicant...
Well, it depends on where they're trying to go.
Yeah, but the perfect thing for a job applicant to be is coachable.
Like a doctor should know things.
Yeah, true, very true. I don't want a guy to be like, hey, I'm here. You just tell me what to do. I got it.
I'm ready to learn, man.
You tell me whatever you want. I'm going to do it. Left hand here
or like someone working on like bridges. They should.
Yeah, they should know. But like,
civil engineers should know what's going on.
But like me, as a butcher, who's gonna just get you the 1 pound of steak tips? Like I don't need experience in a butcher shop to work that job.
Nah.
I should be coachable. You should be.
That's facts.
You take the customer's order and you give it. You don't act like an asshole.
You just observe, ask questions.
Exactly. You just be coachable, and like employers now, especially like the bigger the corporation, the higher paying the job is.
Yep.
Where they're like, what do you know? What can you do? Like, it should be like, what can you learn? What can you retain? What can what can you work on? Like, obviously, like, on a deadline.
How quick do you learn is probably like the best question.
Yeah, how do you learn? I had a teacher one year in 7th grade, started off first day of school by making us all take a quiz on how the way we learned. Okay, you're a visual learner. You're verbal. I thought that was so groundbreaking. I've never seen a teacher ever do that.
Like one of those intelligence maps.
I actually really like that.
That was awesome.
Sometimes they're wrong though. I've noticed on me.
Yeah.
Like when I've done it, but sometimes they're pretty accurate.
But now the teacher, he hit a student. The same guy, I thought it was a genius, hit a student.
I just did not see that coming. I don't know why I found that funny. It took a dark turn, bro.
He did hit the student, but
you gotta ask himself.
Give him credit with the verbal and visual learning stuff. He was going in the right way of that. But,
Alright,
Yeah.
so speaking of coaching and hitting people, the Pats have made quite a few free agency trades in these past. The first day of free agency, they spent about $80 million, so pretty crazy.
Didn't get a quarterback.
And they have more where that
So
came from.
Jake is absolutely positive Cam Newton will be garbage and Pats won't make it to the playoffs.
I didn't say no.
disagree.
I didn't say it wouldn't make the playoffs. I said they wouldn't. They wouldn't put a
Last,
run
yeah.
in the play. They wouldn't put up a run in the playoffs.
I disagree.
You
But,
think they're going to the AFC Championship?
Maybe not the AFC
I like this
Championship,
team,
but I think they'll make
Yeah,
it past.
you're making a
I
run.
think they'll make it past the first round for sure.
Okay.
You think they'll
I
finish in the
disagree.
division second? I think
Second.
Well,
He thinks they're gonna
I
win.
want to see them. I want to see them play the Bills.
I want
And
to
then
see
we'll
them.
know.
First
Once
of
they
all,
Da Bills.
But,
I just want to see
Nah, they're
them
not.
play
The
well.
Bills.
Yeah, I wanna see them play.
I can
That's
see
a
this
fact.
team. This
this is a
They are
strong
almost like-
team.
it's a
I
weird
can see this
thing.
team
Yeah.
in third in the
I actually think the Bills have a chance at
Third.
the Super Bowl.
Who?
Miami.
Miami's not gonna beat the Patriots.
Love
I disagree with
Are you
that.
kidding
Bills
me?
Pats AFC Championship.
You're such a
That would be
bad
sick.
Pats
The
fan.
Pats aren't.
You're not even a Pats fan.
All I'm trying to say is
That's
there's
division.
no way they win the AFC.
All right.
There's zero chance.
Hey, remember when you said the Bucks were going nowhere?
what?
And
I
Brady
did.
was a
Wait, no, I
dumpster
didn't say
fire?
that about the Bucks. I
Wait,
said
with-
that about the Pats.
With
Wait,
the
no,
Pats.
I just didn't think Brady would win another one. That's
Yeah.
what I said.
You also said it was a dumpster fire.
I didn't call it
Actually,
Bucks.
He meant
I
during
called
while he was playing for the Pats.
Pats. I did say that during the
But then he
Pats.
still said you
No,
were
you
shit.
said that after.
He's like, I have the timestamp.
You said that while.
I did say I didn't believe in.
You said that like on episode 3 of Straight.
Yeah, I do
He's not
remember
the
that.
timestamps.
Well, we threw it up in one of the episodes.
We had an
Yeah.
episode right after the Super Bowl where he was like, Tom Brady, I apologize. Then I cut the clip in.
Yeah.
He's like, Tom Brady.
My
is a
Max
dumpster
Kellerman moment.
Your Max Kellerman.
fire." Yeah.
The cliff.
I just want to see them play. I
Yeah.
want to see them. I
Alright,
want to
you-
see
so-
them.
You can get into
Here's
it.
what I'll say about Cam. He had COVID in the middle of the season. It's
Yeah.
very hard in the middle of an 8-game or 12-game season to recover from any injury or sickness. You don't have any time. It's week after week.
Especially the craziest one going around.
Well, you're not an athlete, so you wouldn't
The
understand.
current-
But
You
all right.
wouldn't know the highs and lows of high school football if you even wanted to.
But so Pats free agents. Let's start with linebackers and D line. These guys look awesome.
Great
actually.
additions.
So
Great
The
addition.
Pats defense has always been like,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know,
yeah,
defense wins championships and that.
it does. I
Yes, it
agree.
does.
I agree.
No, I agree.
Honestly, I thought our linebacking core wasn't bad, and then Belichick beefed it up.
Yeah,
Still,
Especially,
so.
remember that Super
It's a
Bowl? I think it was
lot
2
better.
years ago. The one against the Rams.
Yeah.
Oh,
That
yeah.
one, the defense was
Defense-
fucking
Defense was
exceptional.
Shut 'em up.
obliterated the
Shut 'em
Rams.
up.
Yeah.
Exceptional. Yeah.
But,
Basically shut 'em out.
Alright, so I think the most exciting guy, outside linebacker, Matt Judon.
Yep.
He has
Good.
34 sacks in his career. I
Yeah,
think it's a
Judon.
4-year career.
He's gonna be the best player in like all free agency we
Yeah.
had, I think.
We're getting Kyle Van Noy back.
I like
Patriot
that
coming
move. I
in.
No
love
shout.
that move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout.
Shout out to Sean Trott.
And then,
Big guy to bring that guy back.
yeah, for
if
real.
you know, if you know.
He can
And
play.
then we got 2 linebackers, but it's looking like they're just going to be special teams guys.
Which
Raquan
isn't bad.
McMillan and Leroy Reynolds. So they're young guys. That basically means as time goes on, Belichick wants to see if he can coach them up, replace the older guys.
I love
Because
this
Dante's
move.
going to be going
I
soon.
love this move of picking up young kids and
Yeah.
immediately throwing them on special
A
teams.
lot of these guys are young.
Yeah, well, you get Matthew Slaters out of them. You
Yeah,
get special teams, not specialists, experts.
yeah.
Where they're like, this is what I do. I do
They
special
focus
teams."
on that.
Yeah.
That's why New England special teams.
You know what else you get out of
are
them? Training camp cuts.
Yeah, very true. That is true.
Yeah.
Wasted
It's not
money.
wrong. And then, so for D linemen, we got Henry Anderson and Montrevious Adams. I think they're just like big beefy guys.
Yeah,
I don't know
good.
much about them.
Just
Yeah, I
got-
don't know much about
Yeah,
them.
I don't.
Every lineman ever.
They're just massive guys that can block holes in the center.
Yeah.
Belichick might have seen something in them. And then this is a really cool pickup, I think. Jalen Mills from the Eagles. He was part of the Super Bowl winning team.
Yeah, Jalen Mills was a good addition.
He's bringing on that safety because Patrick Chung is retiring. Yeah. So maybe.
So he's playing strong safety?
I think so.
Okay.
Well, we won't know until the season starts.
I'm assuming if he's replacing
he is a safety.
Probably.
Yeah.
It's a good. That's a good
addition. You never know if they're gonna slide players around.
That's true.
Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
the Malcolm Butler situation.
I have a feeling because
yeah.
Chung's pretty aggressive though. That's why I would think strong safety because
like,
you have McCourty at free safety.
Famously, like the Pats aren't big on free agency.
That's
like,
true too.
Yeah, not really.
I you mentioned that they're not really big on strong safeties too because a lot of times they float McCourty and Chung in the secondary and they don't bring someone to blitz.
Yeah.
Between the two.
Well,
I've noticed that they do a lot of two
quarterbacks,
sets.
They usually use linebackers to blitz, but if they're not, even cornerbacks don't really blitz that often with the Pat. Malcolm Butler actually had some really good blitzes.
Yeah, he did.
Back when he was playing.
It's always weird. It's so obscure to put your best coverage cornerback in a blitz. It like throws them off.
Yeah, it's wild.
Well, just like it brings what they had off, like brings what they had to bring to the table off the table.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like you're gonna do this other thing.
Yeah, and then so defensive end, I'm really excited for Dietrich Wise.
Is that a re-sign? That's a re-sign, isn't it? Or is he coming from somewhere? He used to play.
That might be a re-sign.
He definitely used to play.
Played
for honestly, most of our running backs are still there. O-line's still there besides David Andrews. Yeah. So I'm pretty happy.
Our O-line, there was just a O-lineman saved someone. I just saw that.
Oh, really? Also Joe Tooney got traded, which
I actually thought the way they handled that was perfect though because they brought Trent Brown in to replace him.
Almost immediately.
And then what they did also is we had too many offensive linemen that were getting paid too much, so they sent Marcus Cannon. I forget where they traded him to, but that's $9
million
off the salary.
But we still have Shaq Mason.
Yeah, no, we have our offensive line is like a really good
even
core.
Before the pickups.
Yeah, it was good. It was
Scarnecchio, man.
I like the moves.
Patriots O-lineman was presented an Outstanding Service Award for helping stop an attempted sexual assault on a 71-year-old woman.
Jeez.
Justin Heron.
Oh, okay.
Tempe,
oh shit, I do know him. I think he played tackle last year.
Yeah.
He started in the second half of the season.
Sexual assault on a 71-year-old woman.
Yeah, that's nuts.
That's pretty wild.
Shouts to Justin Heron.
Yeah. Imagine being the guy that's like a NFL tackle.
Fucking people.
Like an NFL tackle is like no.
Dude, he literally picked the guy up like he was like on the shelf at a store, dude.
Bro, we had a bunch of Pats O linemen come into Stockyard when I was working as a host, and I was just like, holy fuck. Like these guys.
You know what I always want to ask? Like, what the fuck did your parents feed you as a kid?
They're just like built like bricks. They're built like
it's fucking 5 gross.
It's like someone.
You know, like when you look up to like the night sky, it's like
it's like someone took an iron skeleton and poured concrete into it.
It's nuts.
Suffolk held an event last year before everything got shut down, a year and a half ago. And Devin McCourty came and spoke.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And I went and saw him. I had an event right before that, but I went and saw him. At the end of the event, you can go take pictures with him.
That's
it. I wait in line. I'm waiting in line. I go up. I finally get to take a picture with him, and I'm, you sit there like an idiot. And he looks like handsome Squidward. He looks in real life, feels, I'm like holding his back, and he's just like, it's so muscular, and like, he's like big, and when I say there's 2 of them, they're like fucking clones. Like,
they actually look. I saw an interview and I was like,
which one? I was
like, I can't sometimes.
Bill Belichick has been coaching both of them for 10 years.
The thing with identical twins is a lot of the time it's actually really hard to tell them apart. Like they like. The thing is, sometimes environment shapes them a bit different, but like holy shit,
are they
like
how much
very
time
similar.
they've spent together or separate. If they have done they've been separated for a long time, they're gonna be a little different than.
I remember we had Andy on the show, and like Andy and Allie look pretty fucking similar.
Well, actually, I'd say they did in high school, but now they look.
They look different now, but like I'm saying, goddamn. Twins look fucking insanely alike.
All right, now I think some exciting pickups offensively. We have the double tight end set once again. Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry. So Jonnu Smith has been in the NFL for 4 years. Last season he had 41 catches and 8 touchdowns. So
Great
Hunter
addition.
Henry on the other side. That's,
2 tight end set, power heavy run. I mean, it's actually a recipe
Newton
for pretty good.
has what he was successful in Carolina with now.
Yeah.
Tight ends to throw to and running backs to throw to.
I mean, he's got the weapons now. Let's see if he can
Yeah, he's got the
execute.
I
weapon.
mean, like
Jury's out.
This year was like his trying year with
Yeah.
New England, and it's like we didn't really like. You look at like tight ends, like we didn't really give.
We didn't have anything
Yeah.
besides
Yeah,
running
We didn't
backs.
give him
Yeah.
that.
Running
We
backs
didn't
and a
give him
line. That was all we
running
had.
backs, like,
So one
And on top
dimensional.
of that, he had to recover from COVID mid-season.
Yeah.
So I'm wanting to see what he's like,
With
with
some
an
weapons,
off-season practicing with these guys.
I
And I
do
love his
think
mindset.
at the
Yeah.
very least there should be a quarterback drafted in the first 4
Yeah, there
rounds.
should be
Yeah.
someone else
Yeah.
brought in.
Yeah.
We should start farming someone.
Yeah, and then wide receivers I'm pretty excited about. Kendrick Bourne, last season with San Francisco, he had
Good.
He looks
48
receiver.
catches, 669 yards, 2 TDs.
Yeah, I actually like that addition the most out of anything we had at wide
Yeah,
receiver.
I like him more than Aguilar. if
Same.
I'm being honest.
Aguilar has had
Someone
one
in
good
that position
season.
badly,
But
too.
yeah, there's
He's a serial dropper, much like Edelman has been.
Well, he had
the
a
last few
good
years.
season last
year, but if you look at prior
let's see how
seasons,
good.
I
Yeah,
like his
I'd
curve
agree.
upwards though. I like his
Yeah,
curve.
I think it is an upwards
If
curve.
Belichick signed him, I
one
don't
season
think-
upward trend, boys. Let's see if we
Yeah, but-
continue.
Well, he's also playing for Bill Belichick.
Yeah, I think if Bill signs him, I think Bill sees a little more in him than.
Maybe.
And I think we obviously like we think of Aguilar and we think of that video of the guy thinking like Aguilar, like the fire, He's like dropping babies like Aguilar.
I don't think he's a Demaryius Thomas, honestly.
No, he's not gonna be. I don't think he's gonna be our number one. Like I don't think he's gonna be the one where we're.
I don't think we have any number ones though. Like I think our number ones are now tight ends.
Who was the kid that we kept throwing to this year? I can't think of his name. That was the young kid. I just hopped on the scene and we started. Him and Cam started really connecting. They were just-
Bird, right? BYRD.
Was it Bird or was it the other one?
Bird.
Myers.
Jacoby Myers.
Okay.
Both of them. I
Yeah.
think they're real. I love.
I'm excited to see. I thought Myers was the best out of all.
I still don't think we have a true number one in any of the guys.
No, I
Well,
don't
they're
think they're
young.
number one.
The only thing I thought, or the only one I thought
Promising
could be
number one.
was N'Keal Harry. I thought he was gonna have number one potential. Kind of looking like a bust right now, a first round bust at that too.
Yeah.
Well, let's see.
Tough bus
We'll
for us,
see.
too.
Once
We'll
the
see.
season comes around.
We'll see, but I mean, we got to make some throws.
But yeah, and then to replace David Andrews, bringing in center Ted Karras, and to replace, I'm not sure who's being replaced. Who'd we lose at tackle? Do you guys
A
know?
tackle?
Yeah.
Oh, Joe Tooney, tackle.
No, isn't he a guard?
He's a tackle.
He's a tackle.
Left tackle, yeah.
So they're bringing in Trent Brown.
Yeah, Trent Brown.
Yeah.
I like that.
Good
stuff.
replacement. I like that move a lot.
Can we just
Actually,
make another
cheaper,
one?
cheaper option. Really, really good. Like one of the best replacements you could have gotten
Yeah.
for the money.
I think the Pats, honestly, if you looked at their last season, young defense, but the corners fly around. The corners are good.
Yep.
Lawrence Guy.
JC Jackson is a shout.
nasty.
Is a shout on defense. He's
and
gonna
Chase
be one of the
Winovich
best.
is a good linebacker.
Yeah, Chase Winovich
yeah.
too. I actually think is it Matthew Judon? Is it Judon?
Judon.
Judon.
I don't know.
But he's gonna be the best addition on defense,
I think
hands
so.
down. Dude, that
It's been
guy
so
coming from
long.
Baltimore. Ooh, dude.
Remember when we had Chandler Jones on one end and Rob Ninkovich on the other? You literally could not run a play to the flats against the Patriots. They would drag out every play.
That
was
was
amazing.
Ninkovich is one of
It
my
was the most
favorite.
disciplined
Favorite Pats
defensive
players.
play I've ever seen.
I really think Matt Judon is gonna be one of the best players in the Pats uniform. He could
I
be
hope
like
so.
end up being the best player on
That's
defense.
the thing about great
Besides JC.
defensive ends. Belichick's been getting rid of them.
Yeah.
He doesn't keep them around for some reason.
I really think the line with him and Winovich though, dude, that could be like a dangerous line.
Yeah.
Actually.
I
Well,
like-
also there's what's his name? The OLB. Oh, he is the OLB.
Yeah, he was the OLB. That's why I like him. Kind of like a Jabal Sheard.
Yeah, Lawrence guy.
A little bit more physical, it looks like.
Yeah.
But Jabal Sheard type player, like that'd be sick, dude. I'd be down for that all day.
It seems like he might be faster than Jabal Sheard, though.
Yeah. He looks like built too. Like Jabal Sheard was more of a speedy, like smaller build, but this guy looks like he's a tank, dude. Baltimore, dude. I love Baltimore defenders. I actually, when you get like a defensive player from Baltimore, I usually have like the most faith in them because they're killers, dude. They're like literally like.
It's just hard-nosed.
Murders.
I mean, what I'm saying is like you're getting a quality player because Baltimore's defense historically has been a problem for the Patriots.
Who's that? Terrell Suggs.
Terrell Suggs, Ray Lewis, dude.
Ball is Life University.
Who else is on there? Yeah, I'm telling you, dude. They have some of the best players in the last 2 decades. They're so sick.
Murderous.
They're so
their
sick.
defense is always nice.
So I'm excited.
But so is the Pats.
Yeah, true. Just 2 different styles, dude. They play some smash mouth defense in Baltimore.
No one thinks like
Patriots is very disciplined.
Every
it's very
year
disciplined.
there's a fucking poll that comes out that everyone thinks is the best defense, and the Patriots are never where they should be.
No.
Everyone loves to underestimate. Like,
they always put it way
literally, like there were like 3 years in a row where they were like the either number 1 or number 2 consecutively.
And they love
like least
overestimating
yards allowed,
Yeah.
least points scored.
Well, the thing
they always
is,
just think about it, especially back
there's
when we
this
had Brady.
attractiveness
They
to
always
Tom Brady.
thought it was
Yeah,
the
that's
offense.
what
where it's like
Gronk
the Patriots.
and Edelman too, and back when we had Amendola, like that's like.
Belichick's always been a defensive
but the
coach.
thing
I've
is,
always thought of I know.
the defense has always been overshadowed, especially on the Patriots, because you have this dynamic between Brady and Belichick.
Yeah, everyone thinks
But like some of our historical defensive have been like some of the best in league history.
Teddy Bruschi in himself, Teddy Bruschi was like the captain of the defense for so long.
Yeah.
Just his leadership showed so much.
And then it was Gerard Mayo and now Dante.
Yeah.
I mean, that Bucs defense is looking scary though, dude. They
Bucs defense.
dude, Shaq Barrett should have gotten so much more than he got paid. He
That-
wanted
that-
to win. He wanted to win.
That
Shaq
Bucs
Barrett could have gotten a
defense is
$150
scary.
million contract if he wanted one.
That's what makes the Bucs great because like the Patriots just can't figure out their offense.
Yeah.
The Bucs, like, we can figure out our defense though.
Yeah.
The Bucs just fucking.
But the thing is,
Personnel-wise,
the Patriots
you could
can't
argue
figure
the
out how to
Bucs.
beat the Chiefs. The Bucs dominated the Chiefs.
Personnel-wise, you could actually
I think
argue,
that's on Brady.
regardless of stats, personnel-wise, you could argue that Bucs defense is the best, the most complete offense probably in history. If you look at each position,
Yeah.
it is.
Honestly, D line is insane
Yeah,
too.
and not even like to mention like the defense is also sick.
It's
filthy.
Where are they
They
getting all this money?
That's like
from?
the 85 years though. It's like their offense was fucking
Walter
insane.
Payton.
But
It's
The defense is way better.
defense was they had the fucking fridge. A D lineman who they were like, let's get
Hey,
you in there
run
to send
the
the
ball.
ball.
You know what I thought was also strange, like kind of unfortunate, like Matt Patricia was like actually a good defensive coordinator.
Fucking wanker.
Then he goes to the Lions and it just sucks. I thought he'd be doing great.
I have very little
I was
faith.
hoping he would do well there.
I have very little
kinda
faith
surprised.
in people
And then
who
they're all
leave the
like
Patriots for
hashtag
some
fire.
reason.
Honestly, the only coach.
None of them are irreplaceable. The only one who is Bill Belichick. I'm telling you
No,
right
that's
now.
not true. Mike Vrabel.
There are ones that are good, but I'm telling you right now,
Well, there aren't.
Belichick-
That's what I'm saying. The-
Belichick can replace any of them.
I can
I
see
mean, you could argue
Vrabel.
Brian Flores in Miami is the
I'd
same
say
way.
I'd say the only guy that's been consistently successful from the Belichick coaching era as a head coach,
Is Mike Vrabel.
I
You're
can
right.
see when,
Everyone else has failed.
when Belichick, it comes time for Belichick to step down. I can see.
Josh McDaniels.
Mike Vrabel.
I can say Vrabel.
Oh,
slipping
that'd
in.
be
Yeah,
sick.
I can see
That'd be
Vrabel
amazing.
slipping in at the
That'd be
last
so
second.
great.
I think he's gonna give it to McDaniels. McDaniels has stayed
Ben,
forever.
yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't think McDaniels is gonna be as good of a head coach as
I don't
Vrabel.
think McDaniels will be available by
Because
the time.
McDaniels
Not even
left New England, went to Denver when he had Tim Tebow, and they were fucking shite.
Tebow was like an
In the NFL, I think every team's aware of it.
Yeah.
I think every team is like when he backed out of the deal with what team was it? The Colts.
I
He
forget
had
who
that
it
head
was.
coaching
I
job and he
remember.
pulled out of it. And it's like I think the team was
I think you're right. I think it
we'll
was the
let you
Colts
do it.
actually.
Like,
He was like,
Like-
we'll do it.
I don't
Matt
think.
Patricia ended up at the Colts. He would have dominated.
No, he fucking
Yeah.
wouldn't have. Matt
I don't know
Patricia
if
is
he would.
so overrated in
he-
your guys'
I don't think-
estimation.
All right, now you're too harsh, but you're also I don't think you do good at that.
I think the Lions are a
I don't
tough
think
team to turn around.
What does he bring to? What does he bring to Indianapolis though?
Well, he would have worked with Jacoby Brissett before, and Jacoby Brissett took them to the playoffs the first year he played.
Jacoby Brissett was actually good when he was.
Yeah, they literally blackballed Jacoby Brissett
He should
for
have
no
been
reason.
When he was playing,
Like he was good.
Garoppolo got hurt, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brady was out. Garoppolo
Yeah.
got, or Brady was
Brady was in
suspended.
trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brady was
Yeah,
suspended. That's why we
Brady.
had the 4 games.
Deflategate.
And the
We were still fucking good.
Get this. Hey, if
You're
you're
still
not
on 3
if you're not a
games.
Brady fan, guess what? You just fucking hate winners.
Yeah.
That's what it
Yeah.
comes down to.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's insane.
Deflategate.
We used to think when
Bro, that's the most ridiculous. Like we've talked about this enough on
You
the
just
show.
hate that he fucking kicks your
brought this
ass.
up on our show like 3 times.
Bro, the
But
Steelers
There's been-
consistently have under.
yeah, there's been so many other instances of that, and the Colts
And
just
nothing
fabricated
happened.
that.
You know, we're not mad at you, like none of that shit. Just admit you're a sore loser, okay? If you thought like that
We're
shit.
not mad at you.
That's
Just
a
watch
good
the
album.
Patriots dominate again this coming up year.
Well, I mean, Tom Brady's not around anymore. I'm interested to see how Cam Newton does, though. I mean, I won't. I'm not gonna like
Wasn't
say.
ideal. I honestly
that he
like
can't-
I
It wasn't
wasn't.
ideal.
I wasn't excited
It wasn't
that he
ideal.
was. I was
Give him-
actually.
give him a
I'll give him a
I
chance.
was-
I'll
I
give him a
was
chance.
excited
I wasn't
sign
pissed,
him.
but I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I was hoping.
I
I was
was-
hoping we would get Deshaun.
I was so hoping that we, dude. If
How about
we
now?
had
How about now,
Deshaun,
though?
Yeah.
if we got,
14 women, 14,
I'm telling you right. I actually
14.
is it up to
Yeah, they're pretty
14?
wild.
Oh,
There was
fuck.
there
That's
was
a
just
lot.
one of them that they got proven wrong or
Fuck,
something.
dude. I think
That's
I might have
still
been wrong.
13.
It's still 13. is
Because
pretty
I
wild.
thought, you want to know what my
That's
initial
bad.
thought
That's
on
bad.
it was? I
That's-
actually thought Houston was trying to drag his name through the mud to try and get him to stay.
It's
But
we'll have to see how the
Try and
court
kill.
rules.
But 13's a lot more than the initial 4 that I heard.
I think it was up to 14 when last time.
I don't really
14
I don't speak to these cases till they kind of unfold.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm
That's
saying.
still
right now, is because
14.
That's a
14
lot.
allegations.
That's a
more-
shit.
That's not a small
more
case
than
like
the
I thought it
typical
That's
was.
like-
Brady.
That's like Cosby numbers.
You can get 2 or 3 women together, people together in general. Don't only put anyone in groups. You can get 2 or 3 people together and make them believe anything.
Yeah.
You get 14 people and all convince them the same
There's
thing.
no way.
It's like a jury. You
Yeah.
convince 12 people that you're innocent. I think you're innocent.
Yeah.
You fucking convince 14 people to press charges.
It's
Yeah,
not looking good
not
anymore.
looking good.
Yeah.
Let the
Yeah.
courts run its case.
Yeah.
But that's not looking good.
It's not
for,
looking good.
You know,
14 case.
that's a tough
That's
situation
brutal.
for the victims.
Russell Wilson would have been
Yeah.
pretty
Can I
cool.
speak on one thing though? How bullshit is it that Ray Rice got for the 4 or 2 game suspension? Tom Brady got the same suspension for fucking deflating football.
For deflating football.
Not even he deflated him, for telling
Bro,
some equipment guy that he
there-
liked his balls limit.
There have been players who've been like there's actual physical evidence of being
Yeah, with
domestic
the Ray Rice
abusers,
thing.
and they get
It's like
no
Adrian
penalty. They get no
Peterson.
suspension.
Ray Rice. it's
Adrian
like-
Peterson beating up his son with a law.
I actually don't
Yeah,
really
I
think.
mean, there are other
I
players.
won't say what I think on that because I don't actually think AP
Wasn't a law.
should have gotten suspended. No, it was like a
But,
switch. It was like a brand.
Yeah.
Who the hell?
Switch isn't a law.
Alright,
Switch is a
people
switch.
think like
How does
that
a
is
fat
so
stick-
bad, but like
It's not a fat
yo,
stick,
his
it's
kid
the
will
thing
actually
is,
grow
the
up.
whip it is.
His kid will grow up to be more disciplined. All I have
Bro,
to
there's
say.
one thing giving a kid a little slap. You like beat the fuck out of him with a brand.
He didn't beat the
He didn't
fuck.
beat
He
the
didn't
fuck-
endanger the kid.
Yo, if your
life.
kids
Kid
didn't
was
slap
bleeding,
you
the
up
kid
a little
was, like,
bit,
gonna die, bro.
you know, your parents kind of have like a little bit flawed parenting practices if they.
I'd
didn't
say
do all
it's
this.
not the ideal parenting practice, but people should be able to raise kids the way they see fit.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm not
Yeah,
gonna
like going out
preach
to
it,
the
but
pub
like,
and getting home drunk.
I mean,
You
like-
should be able to put them in the dryer. For you.
maybe.
They
Alright.
get out of the dryer. They get out of the shower. They
As long as it's not negligent.
Yeah.
As long as it's not
As long as I'm
negligent.
sitting there looking in the window.
As long as you're responsible and actually take care of the kid, you can raise them.
Yeah.
Or be like Anthony Kiedis or someone like doing drugs with your dad who's a movie star.
Alrighty, and on that note, I think we're gonna skip
Yeah,
It
Reddit
is
tonight.
to skip Reddit, but
I
I was gonna say before we
Okay.
wrap up real quick. So you're performing on
we're
Acoustic
gonna-
Sundays. When is that happening?
We're gonna be performing April 4th. Me and a couple people. I think that's Easter. I know it's Sunday.
Yeah, it is actually. It is Easter.
Okay.
We're gonna be performing a couple cover songs. Gonna have a good
Awesome.
time. Just
Wait, where is
chilling
this?
Which
Where
songs
can
are
we hear
you
it?
performing?
You can see it on I think Suffolk's Free Radio's
Ooh,
Instagram.
damn, okay.
That'll be on live.
Oh, cool.
I don't know what I'm performing yet. We're just gonna pick some songs that I grew up with, some songs that I can comfortably do and just kind of chill out and be comfortable with, and
That's sick.
just kind of have a good time. Put it out there.
Yeah.
And I don't really need to push anything.
Yeah.
I don't really need to push my songs on it.
With some Mac DeMarco or some
Yeah,
modern
exactly.
stuff.
I just wanna put on I just wanna let
like
people
that.
know of like, hey, this is a cool song that I grew up on. Maybe you guys would like to hear a version. I do. Maybe. It's alright if you don't, but maybe.
We'll make sure to include, if you would like, a little clip at the end or in the description of you playing. If you want something to send,
Yeah, just send it
I'll
out.
make something up.
Sure, yeah.
Outro.
And yeah, so, alright, so we want to thank Lane for coming on the show. Like I said, you can check out his performance coming up. And so that concludes Straight No Chaser episode 27. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Make sure to like and subscribe, follow us on Instagram. Tune in next week for more content.
7 Club out.
Yeah.